Okay, this is a demonstration of our Essentials product. You'll see that all the menu items are down the side. We have all the modules here. So we have customers, sales, point of sale, price matrix, which is a customer's pricing, the sales history, account receivable, equipment for the service industry, all the equipment owned by that customer, accounts payable, vendors, purchases, purchase history, production, inventory, adjustments of inventory, requisitions for ordering of inventory, general ledger, payroll, and communications, which is our to-do list and communication basically throughout the company through all the modules. So let's just start off by clicking on the customer. We'll show how our lists work. So when the customer list comes up, you can basically move these around any way you wish. And everything's given on a list form as opposed to a card that shows an empty card that you need to fill out. But here you can basically move any of these columns around as you wish. You want to put the contact name next to the customer, and you want to put the phone number there, and the last invoice, which is the date of the last time that this customer bought something from you. So you can sort that to see who's been buying and who you should be contacting for anybody that you haven't seen for a while. And to do so, you can basically sort this list. So you take the ones that haven't been bought for a while. The ones that are blank are the ones that have never purchased from you if you had an imported list. Let's say you want to send a letter to each of the people that you have not yet, that you haven't seen for a while. You can highlight all those. Then you can press the print button, and we'll take a number 10 envelope with a return address, and we'll just preview that. Okay, so what I get here now is an envelope for each one of those people. So basically, just to show that you can highlight to print things. So I don't have to print them type them in a row. I can just highlight the ones I want to print, hit the print button, and able to print them envelope or any other report that you've got attached to them. If you sort by balance, for instance, you want to send a statement to all the people that say owe more than $10,000. You can highlight all those, and you hit the print button, or you can highlight everybody. To print, and this time I'll print an envelope and an account statement, and I'll preview those. When that comes up now, we see that we got an envelope for each of those people, and in the same order, we have the account statement. So basically, you can print off all your statements, print off all your envelopes, and then stuff the envelopes with the statement. If you wish to email them instead, then all you need to do is hit the print button, choose the account statement without the envelope. You don't really want to email them an envelope and have them stuff their own. So I'll click email, and here I get to choose which email address I want to send it to. So they have 3 email addresses, or 4, the main one, and contact 1, and contact 2, and 3. Most offices set up the contact 3 as the accounts receivable or accounts payable contact, so they can click that one and then hit the email. So I'll just choose the top one here, and then basically what I do is I pick a template. So I've got one set up called customer statement, and I can set, by hitting the new button, I can create my own statement or my own templates and basically lay out all the wording the way you wish, and then just save it. And you can make it a private template, or you can make it accessible to each of your users. So all I need to do now is hit the send mail button, and it'll go out and send it to everybody. Right now, if I hit send, it'll come from my own email address, which in a lot of cases you may not want it. If you're the salesperson in the office or the owner and you don't want a statement to come from you, then you would use company email setup, and then what that does, it uses the one built in for the accounting department. So that way it's coming from them and not from the salesperson or the owner of the company. But you may have noticed that they owe money and you want to send it off to them. So I'll just cancel that. Okay, we got a lot of other important columns here. In balance, we looked at already, the last invoice. We got last year's sales, so I can look at what the sales were last year and what they are year to date so far this year. We also include the gross profit and next year's sales. If you're in the third period or the third year, it'll show up there. And of course, city, addresses, phone numbers, fax numbers, all the contacts, their terms, the salesperson. There's last year's GP, and those columns can move around as you wish. That's why this one's over here. Notes, the date you added them, their email addresses, and how they want their invoices and statements sent. And again, all these columns can be moved as you wish. Okay, You can also remove columns. If I right click on a column or on the column header, I can uncheck any of these columns I don't want to see, and it just shuts it off. And only thing you're affecting is your own computer. It does not affect anybody else's. Okay, so on all those lists, if you sort by a column, then you can simply click down anywhere inside the column, not the search box up here, inside the column, and just start typing in. And as you type, it gets closer and closer to the one you're looking for. And it turns green as it's seeking it. And if you click a letter that doesn't exist, it'll beep at you and ask you to type a proper character. Or if you hit the down arrow or up arrow, it'll start over again. And then you can type in a different set of characters at that point. And you can do that with any of the columns. So I sort by contact one, I type SALL, it gets me to Sally. Or phone number, if you don't know them, if you don't know who they are, but you have a phone number written down, it's 604-555, and it gets you closer and closer to the person you're looking for. Okay, the search on the top is actually for searching everything within the database. So in here we type for looking for the column that we're sorted by, indicated by the arrow, but up here it searches every one of the fields, including fields that are not listed on this list. So for instance, we don't list any of the notes for a customer, but you can search those as well. So for instance, if I type the word watch, then I'll see I've got a few customers that show up, and if I go into one of them, so open up Ace Electronics here, and I go to communications, you'll see I've got a note in there says watch credit. So it searches the note subject and also everything inside the note as well. Okay, and then of course it searched and found the customer with the word watch in their name, and again this one probably has watch credit on it. So of course you can also search for things like the person's name, and it finds Sally from Harding TV Repairs, but it also finds the name of Sally Johnson Sally A. Esquire. Okay, let's just clear that off. Okay, on the list as well, we have what's called filters. So we can create a filter. So if we hit the filter button and we choose where the city contains VANC, so Vancouver. So now I have all the customers where the city contains Vancouver. And you'll see that it actually shows Vancouver and North Vancouver because it's a contained search. If I change that to equals, so I have to of course put the whole word in, and then we just get the ones in the city of Vancouver. So I can add to that, so I can hit plus and then say where the last year's gross profit is greater than $100. So I get everybody with a gross profit of more than $100. Or I could do 1,000 to see if that's a shorter list. Let's try 10,000. Oh, it's 100,000. So I'm getting all my customers in Vancouver where last year's GP is greater than, it's all the way over here. Oh, okay, I chose is less than 100,000, so let's go with greater than. Okay, so there's just one in this case. So last year's profit is greater than 0, so I don't have much for sales in the Vancouver area. So let's change this to something different. Let's go with where the year-to-date sales is greater than 0. So here's all my customers in the city of Vancouver with sales of greater than 0. And if you want to, you can save these filters. I'm not sure why I'd want to save this one with such a little amount in a city, but you can do so. So we go save preset, and we choose, you can type in what you want to call it. So Vancouver sales, and then you can give that to yourself only, or you can give it to everybody in the company. So I go company, everybody gets access. Now you have to have a security setting for who's allowed to set a company filter, because some people get a little carried away and put too many filters, and then you almost need filters for your filters. So I just put a user here. So now I can recall that filter. So if I go back to the main customer list, I can choose the filter I just created called Vancouver sales, and then I can add that also to my list. So I just go, so if I look over here, you'll see I've got some there already. But I can go add filter to module list, and then it gets added over here. So I can go directly from all customers to Vancouver customers, and I've got other ones set up over $10,000. I've got Alex's customers, so just a particular salesperson. So you see that the filter says equals to. So anyway, once I've got a filter, I can now also export it. So if I can set this up the way I want. Again, if I move my columns, so I put my contact there and my phone number there, and maybe I want to remove some columns, so I can just right click it, uncheck the ones I don't want on the list to the export, and uncheck them, and then just hit the export button. Once I've hit export, I choose a place to save the file. It's by default called customer XLS. You can change that, or you can switch it from XLS to a CSV file as well. So hit save. It's already there, so I'll replace it, and then it exports it, and then you can open it. So once you've got it into Excel, you can basically see that it's perfectly formatted, all laid out, and even the header is locked, so you can scroll through a very large sheet of data. And now you can do your calculations as you wish on this. Save it and close that. All right, so let's clear that filter, and we'll just go to a particular customer. We'll open it up, and you'll see here that this is all the information about the customer. On the first tab, the address tab, it's all their address information, including any multiple ship tos you have for them, and you can add more ship tos in here by just hitting the plus button. You've also got the billing section. This shows basically what now they have in AR, aged, what their balance is, what their credit limit is, when the credit was approved and by whom it was approved. And then you can hit the clear approval, so it removes that if you wish. You can change it from limited credit to no credit to unlimited credit. And we show here how they want their statements and invoices, their discount structures, what receivables accounts they're posted to, their terms. Here is banking information that you can put on for them. So if you take deposits directly from your customers and directly from their bank, you can choose that, set that up in here. PO, whether their PO number is required or their service charge default is exempt. So we do automatic things like automatic shop fees, and you can exempt the customer from them. And then levies. We have inventory levies that you can charge for things like disposal fees. Then you can exempt the customer from that as well. General section is what type they are. You can group your customers by different types. You can create those here. And in this case, I got education, retail, and wholesale set up. Some notes on a customer. This is an old database that used to have a credit card number in it. You're no longer allowed to do that, so we'll take it out. And then their e-commerce section, how they want that set up. Their accounts receivable. This basically shows what their AR balance or invoices are right now. And if you tick them all, you'll see their balance down the bottom there, or tick some of them as you wish. You can also, at this point, take a payment from a customer. So if you want to take a payment, you can click that there. We'll go over that more in the accounts receivable module. But you see everything that can be done right from within inside the customer from here. The price matrix, this is all their special pricing, how you've got their price set up for items. So in this case, we've got an item in a particular warehouse, which has a default price on it. And it has the pricing method, which is discount, 0% discount. And this one here is set for all customers, so it doesn't have a name, so this price applies to everybody. And again, there is a video on price matrix that gives more specific information on how that's done as well. This is all their sales history. This is every item or every invoice they've ever done with us. We can drill down and look at an invoice. We can choose a purchase order number if they ask us to tell us any more information about a PO number. So I just go PO here and I just type in ER and it jumps down to that purchase order number. Or if I know the order number, maybe the customer's called and quoted an order number, I can find it that way very easily. And we show, as long as you have access to it, we show all the profit and gross profit information as well, and net profit, or gross profit based on average and on current. If you go to the items view, you see every line off of every invoice. And if you sort by invoice number, you'll see this one here has 3 lines, and those are the 3 lines off a particular invoice, and it shows the quantity and the unit price of each item. So if you wanted to check pricing for a particular part number, the CD204, you can see here they bought many times, and their different quantities they purchased and the unit prices they paid for them all listed there. Sales order, this is all open sales order for this customer. And again, because we allow you to drill down to it and use it from here, you can actually go into this order that's on the customer. You can add to it, you can edit, you can delete items from it if you wish. Delete out on lines. You can actually invoice it from here. You can change quantities, print packing slips, everything right from within the customer. It's like being in sales orders, but you're only working with the orders for that particular customer. And also while we're in there, you can go to so one step back here to the detail view, and this is everything the customer's got on every order right now. So if he's asking, do I have any RC whatever, I type RC, and yet you've got 3 of them on 2 different orders. So I've got this order, and this one here's got 2 of them on it on 2 different lines. So a quantity of 11 on that order, and a quantity of 2 on that order there. So you can see it all easily. And again, if I double click on it, I can work on the order from here, and I can go next, look at the next one, and next, and views through all the orders as you click over. Equipment, this is if the customer has equipment that you service. Our service module will give more detail on what that's used for. Tax matrix, this was for local taxes for a particular region that a particular item could be exempt from for a customer. That can be set up in here. And then lastly, we've got the color. So you can set a customer to a color for any reason, whatever you feel that you want to set a color. So if we change it for probably want to get some more contrasty colors so you can read them. But if you've got a color that you want to stand out on the list and also on a sales order, then you can set that in here. And while we're in here, you see this update order button. The customer's got a bunch of orders in here. Let's say you come in here now and you change their address and you want it to be reflected. So you put in Avenue. And now you want all open orders to be changed. If you hit the update orders button, it goes through and updated a whole bunch of orders with a new address on it, so that it gets the correct address even after you've taken the order from a customer. Okay, there's a couple more fields here we should talk about. Communications, this is all the notes for a particular customer. So the top one here says watch credit, and if I edit that, you'll see that it says if invoice is over 60 days. And it has an alert on it. So if you set an alert, then this note will pop up whenever you take an order from a customer or go back to review a customer's order. It'll tell you that there's notes on it. So this is an alert type message. If you look at other ones, we've got this one. Let's check this one here. You see we got some notes about it. Their terms have been changed, or credit limit's been changed. And if you want to assign this note to somebody, then you can choose from this list to assign it to somebody here. So if I assign it to myself and I want it to follow up next Friday, I can put that date in there. And then when I log in on or past that day, then this note will pop up and remind you that I have to do something for this particular customer. Okay, another type of note is a print note. So if you said you want this note here to print, so if you got a special message that goes on all of your customers' invoices, but only for that customer, then you can say print that note on invoices. So every time it prints an invoice, it will print this note on there. Now, on the Crystal report, those particular fields or sections are hidden, so you do need to go into with Crystal reports to unhide the section, because we put them on as a default location, but you may want to choose where those notes actually print. We also have a type of a note here. You can choose and create them, this authorization note, but when you're in there, you can add all kinds of note types, follow up, or whatever you want to do in that in the note type for in there. Okay, we have attachments. Here's where you can add any kind of file to your customer. So if it's a PDF file or something, I'm just going to put a PDF note here and call it a note or instructions or something. And then hit add, and then that note gets attached. And if you double click it, then what happens is it opens up your PDF reader, if it's a PDF file, and shows you what the note is. If it is an Excel file or something like that, then it will in turn open that up as well with Excel. Okay, we'll go back to our customer list. Won't save any of that. Okay, so let's have a look at our inventory list. So same thing here. Move columns the way you want them. Put your part number first, your product code, wherever you want it there. Your available quantity there. So that's, again, all only affects your computer and nobody else's. In here, we have, just move this down a little bit here. You can move these boxes around if you haven't got a wide enough screen, which I don't. So in this case, I've got the search box here again, and I can type in the word SPEAKER, and I find the word speaker somewhere in it. Or even if it's not in there, if I type the word box, again, I have two items that have a note on them that have the word box in it. So it basically searches the whole database, the whole file for that particular item. So in this case, let's look for our vendor code. So we've got a vendor code on here. It's turned off. Let's have a look. So sure enough, vendor's turned off. If you ever can't find one of your columns, just check to make sure it's not turned off. So let's say I want to check Bosley. So there's all the items that I buy from Bosley Audio Systems. I can highlight that and hit my print button. And I choose my inventory status list and preview. So this basically shows all the items that are purchased from Bosley and the total value of the inventory. So what I can do here is use this report to go back to my supplier and ask for better pricing to say to them, look, I've got in my warehouse $147,000 worth of product that I purchased from you. It doesn't have to be a vendor report. Of course, if you want to search by something else like product code, you can run the same report and say I want to get a stock of all my items with this one particular product code. I can hit the print on that as well. Okay, so then in here we have a couple of key fields that I want to point out. So I've got some unit sales columns. So if I sort by those, you can see that last year, let's go to the top, I sold 284 of these. And this year so far, I've sold 142 of them. Oh, sorry, that's the amount. So last year we sold 284 and $142 worth. And this particular one, only 26 or a few cents a piece. So $249, $141,000 worth. And then this year so far, we show the amounts as well. And then again, if you're using your future period, you can show the next year's amounts as well. Another field that I want to point out is one called suggested order quantity. So again, you can't find it, just right click, and it is just around these here. When you right click on a column, the order they show up in here is the order they're on the list, so you can find it that way. So here's my suggested. So if I sort by that, we'll see that there is a number of items that it suggests that I purchase. And the way we calculate that suggested quantity is we take the back order number plus the committed plus the reorder point, and then we subtract out the on hand, and we subtract out the on order quantity, which is already coming from our supplier, and then round it up to the minimum order quantity the supplier set for the item. And that's calculated with the suggested field. If I want to place an order for those, I can simply highlight those and press my requisition button, and then it puts all those items that need ordering on this list. I can still change those quantities from here. The vendor is put on here and the unit cost is put on here. So I can change these costs as I make my calls to my vendor. So if I sort by vendor, and I'm working first with Amtron here, then I can get my new pricing, or if they don't have product, I can then change vendors by looking up a new vendor. And then I simply hit the process button, and it will put a PO in the purchase order module, one for each vendor of the product that I've got listed here with the quantities that you set them to. There is a video on the requisition system that gives us a lot more detail. Okay, again, there is the export button, so if you want to export out your inventory, you can do so from here as well. And there's a video on the exporting and the importing, for that matter, on in another place on our channel. Okay, a couple other things here. So if you see some inventory that you want to receive, so you look at the committed quantity and you just want to simply receive them or adjust them, you can highlight them here, and you can press this button, receive, or transfer or adjust. So if you hit the receive button, then it simply takes that list you've highlighted and puts it all up onto a receiving. This is just like hitting a little truck where you manually receive the items, but in this case what it does is it puts them all together on a receiving. So it gets a receipt number or for each individual product, but it puts a PO number with an R number, receive, for each of those items here. So in this case I can now go in there and type 1, 3, 4, and 1. So if I want to receive those, then I can just simply hit the print button and it will give me a pending inventory adjustments report. If I preview that, it shows all the items that I'm about to receive listed there. And then when I hit post to ledgers, it actually posts all of these receipts to the correct GL account, and then we'll print you a report afterwards as well. And then the offsetting account will be inventory adjustments. Or if you wish to change that, you can do so here by changing the GL account here. And again, if you want to do a transfer of an item, you simply choose transfer. Then it brings up the warehouse transfer system. You choose the warehouse it's going to, and you put in the quantities that you're going to transfer, and then you hit the post here as well, or a report too. If you hit save and close on this, like that, then what happens is it goes into the adjust inventory section as a transfer right here, and it's just in transit at this point. It has not yet been posted, but whatever quantities that you typed in here on the from warehouse, they will be committed as if you had them on a sales order, so you don't oversell them. And in the warehouse they're coming to, they will be show up on the on order as if you had a purchase order created, so somebody doesn't want to try and create them again. Okay, back to the inventory list. We also have labels. So if you wanted to print a label for a few items, so let's say this one, this one, this one, and this one, then I can hit the label button. It comes up with the amount of the quantity. So in this case, it's quantity 1 of each. But you can say I want 2 of these, 4 of these, 1 of these, and 1 of these. Or I hit set quantity to the balance on hand, so we get the on hand quantity as well. That way, if you wanted to label everything you've got in stock, you can do so. But if I hit print now, I can choose one of several labels. I'll just try all 3 of them, and I'll preview them. So the first one we've got is the barcode label. That just uses a 3 of 9 barcode, although that can be changed to whatever style you want to use. And then we've got a couple of other ones as well. They're all Avery labels, but these can all be modified to print how you wish to print them. Okay, so let's have a look inside of an inventory item. So in this case, I went into it, and I'm in the image section. I double click there. So here's all the information about the item. So we've got what type it is, and that's going to be normal, non-physical, manufactured, kitted, or raw material. What product code it belongs in, what sales department belongs in, whether we allow back orders, returns. We also list here the harmonized customs code. So if you're exporting into another country and they need to know the customs code for it, and then also the country of origin can be selected here as well. You can set whether the item is serialized or lot numbered. And we have a separate video on lot control and how that all works as well. But basically to say that we allow you to track lot numbers coming and going and get a full report of the status of all the lot numbers. An alternate part number, you can choose another part number, or what is a substitute for this item. So if you go to sell it and you're out of stock on it, it will suggest the alternative. And if you choose it, it will switch to that part number automatically. We have what's called an accessory. What an accessory is, that every time I sell one of these items, a CD204, automatically this item will get added to the order as well. So if it's an item that you need to make sure you put some packaging with it, or you need to be a package of screws needs to go with it for assembly, then you won't forget to put them on because they'll get added automatically. Now you can delete the item if you wish once it's added to the order. This accessory can also be a kit. So you can put a whole package of items that get added. So when you sell the CD204, it automatically adds everything to the order that's in that kit. Our current and average costs are shown here. We have the pack size. This doesn't really do anything within the program, just for reporting purposes and visual purposes to know how many items are in a package. So if you want to, you can upsell to that item. This is the weight of the selling unit of measure. So that weight can be then displayed and printed, and it'll actually show on a sales order while you're taking an order if the weight is on there as well. This is the warehouse location. We've got these two fields are user definable. You can call them what you wish. One of them is an alphanumeric field. The other one is a numeric field. And at this point, it has no label in the setup on it. And then under this one here that we're calling notes at this point, you can have a lookup here, and you can add different types of ones to this. So if you want to subcategorize your items by something else besides product code, you can use that here and call it subcategory and have a lookup for those in here. Of course, we have our sell price, and that shows the margin automatically. We have, again, the colors. You can choose what color the item is when it displays. Who the primary vendor is. This is who you purchase it from normally, and this is the vendor that it goes to automatically when you do a requisition. What your reorder point is, so we can help you in your reordering process. What the minimum is from the supplier. The duty percentage and the freight percentages, these will be added automatically to a purchase order if you put these percentages on there. What the last PO number you created and what its PO date is. Default expiration, this is for the lot control system, so that if an item is lot controlled, then when you receive it, it will put the best before or expiration date on there automatically for you. We have room for multiple UPC codes, or you can use these for quick codes or also known as codes. Some people put their customer's part number in here so that if you type in that part number, it'll automatically change it over to the CD204 in this case. And then if you want to, you can print the customer's part number on their order because you chose that as a UPC. And then extended description. So this is the place where you can put a lot of information about the particular item. You don't normally print that onto an invoice or a packing slip because it can be very large, mostly for informational purposes. But of course, with a custom form, you can do that. At the bottom here, we're showing you what the status of this item is. So what the on hand is, what the committed quantity, the back ordered, how many are on order with the supplier. So what our available quantity is after doing all that math. And the image of the item, this just picks up an image that you've attached to it. In this case, I got a JPEG attached there. This is our prices in units. We can do multiple units of measures here. So if we add a new unit of measure, we can add it here and give it a multiplication factor, whether you're allowed to sell fractional quantities or whether it's the standard selling or buying, or whether you can sell and buy by it. So you may have a unit of measure you can only buy but not sell. Each one can have its own UPC code and its own location and its own weight, of course. Down here, if you put another unit measure in, it does the calculations for you for what the selling should be for each of them, or you can manually change the selling price to not just a multiplication factor, but to whatever you want to sell it for. The taxes, the levy code, so if this item has a disposal fee on it, you can create a levy codes here by doing a lookup on it, whether it's discountable or not. And then in Canada, we have the GST or the HST in a lot of provinces. So if there are items here that you don't have to pay the HST portion, but just what was the PST portion, you can exempt that on this particular item here. Okay, if it's a serialized item, you'll see there are serial numbers and lot numbers in there. Statistics. This shows you day by day, or sorry, month by month, year by year, how many units we sold in the month, what the total sell price was, what the total cost was, the gross profit on it, what the gross profit percentage was, the average sell price based on the quantities, the average cost price, and what the unit of measure is. Attachments. Here again, you can attach PDF, Excel spreadsheets, Word documents, anything to this item. This is all the different vendors that we normally buy this from, and we can put all their prices in here and their part number, and that part number can be put onto the purchase order so that when they receive the PO, it comes from with their number on it as opposed to our number on it. And you can put a starting and ending date. So if I edit this, I can change the starting and ending dates on this as well if it's a timed price that we put in here. And then at the bottom, we can put in all our quantity break prices as well. Price matrix, this is all the special prices that we've got for different people on this particular item. Shows that ACE has a couple of different prices. Maybe one is for quantity 1 and one's for quantity 12 or something like that. But this basically shows you all the pricing here. The purchase items, so this is all the items that are on POs at this point. Again, I can double click on that and work with that purchase order, receive the purchase order from there. Purchase history, these are all the historical purchases for this item, and I can again sort by any of those columns. Got this is rental. This I won't describe too much here because there is a separate video on our rental system, but just to say that you can set up an item to be rented and set up all their prices for the rental for the different periods. Sales history, this is everybody that's ever purchased this particular product, so there's the header information from it. And you can also go to the items view and sort by that and see who's all been buying it. So if you want to, you know you're going to be short on these, you want to look who's been buying them so you can let them know that we're going to be short. You can find that all listed very easily here. All open sales orders for this item. So again, let's say you get a notice from your supplier that the shipment you expect to come in this week is not going to be coming in another 2 weeks down the road. You want to call each of these customers to let them know that we're not going to have them. I can come here, sort by customer, go into my first one, and go to the bill to section, get their phone number, call them, tell them that they're not going to be here. Do they still want them? If they don't, you can simply come here and remove it from the order or delete the order. Or you can go to the next one. And if you go here, you get their phone number, let them know, go next, 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 next. And at each order, there's a whole bunch for ACE in there, but let's get down to the end. You see other customers on there. Then we can call each of them to let them know. So we're very proactive with our customers by finding all that information for them. Again, tax matrix, this is for exemptions of certain items for certain customers on the local taxes. This is the receipts. This is every time we've done a receiving. This includes purchase orders and manual receipts. And again, I can sort by any of these columns to find them. This is all the notes about this particular item. So this one has an alert on it. So you can see this one here is alert. And if I click on it, if I go here and I edit it, then I can see, be sure to tell customer this item is discontinued. That way, when I go to add this item to an order, the customer sees that, or I can tell the customer that it's been discontinued. This may be for things that are, say, color match, so like maybe like hardwood floor, where the customer's buying a bunch of it, but you want to let them know that you better buy what you can now because we're not getting any more of this item in. Okay, so that's the inventory. So we'll close back down to the main list. Okay, so let's see how all that comes together in our sales order. So there's our sales order screen. Again, same thing as everywhere else. We can search by just highlighting a column. So I type in customer code and it brings me straight to that customer. I can do that by the date. So if I want to see on the required date, say I want to see everything that's due today or earlier. So I come here, it lists everything there, and I can sort by that. So let's say that I want to make sure I send out these packing slips to be picked for all of our customers. So let's go the other way around. No, that was the right way. So there's all the oldest ones, and maybe it's up to there. I can then hit the print button, and I can hit a pick ticket, and I can hit print. And when I do that, I can choose the printer I'm going to set it to. So I want to maybe set it off to my printer in the warehouse. So I choose that and hit the print with 2 copies of it. And if I hit the if I change any of the settings here, then if I hit the print now, it'll revert back to the settings the way they were, unless I hit save defaults. And then it will always remember to print 3 copies to that particular printer from now on. Or maybe another example is that maybe Perlator is coming in, or you say UPS is coming in at 11 o'clock this morning, and I want to make sure I get all my UPS orders done. So I sort by ship description, type U. So there's all my UPS orders. Highlight them all and hit the print button. In this case, again, I can print that pick ticket. That way we're not wasting time, and when Perlator comes in, they get everything that that has to be ready for 11 o'clock. Okay. There's a lot of information in this particular screen. It's got all the columns in here for the totals, the total order. So the difference between the total and the total order is that if you see in this case, we've got $3,087 for our total order, but the total is only $2,960. That means that there's some back orders on this particular order, and the value of the order that's going to ship is $2,960, but the whole order, if we could ship everything, is $3,087. That way I can see the true value of an order, because sometimes like this one here, it's only $522, but in actual effect, the order is worth $66.82. So it's good to see what the actual value of an order is. And then along with those, we show all the profits for each one of them. And because we have current and average profit, we show all of them. So total cost current, total profit current, gross profit percentage current, and so on. So there's quite a few columns in here. Again, you can turn off any column you want if you don't want to see them. But to a lot of people, this is valuable information, so we do make it all available here. But you just basically go through each one of them and set up your columns the way you want them. And the most important columns, obviously, being over to the left, so you don't have to scroll over to see them. Again, in the search not only searches for the information on this screen, but it searches for the information inside of an order. So if I type CD-204, I get all my orders with a CD204 on it. So very quickly I can see everybody that's got that particular item on there. So again, any information at all, even the notes inside of an order. So if I go into an order and I add a note on this order, I'll just type the word test, and just test, and save it. And if I save and close this order, and now I put the word test here, you'll see that order comes up because I put a note on the order. So it's like I said, it searches everything within inside the order for the information you're looking for. Okay, we also have the filters and everything set up for this one. So if I want to look for just a particular type of order, so I've got some filters set up here. So if I click on this and just processed orders, I don't have any. So just shipped orders, I've got a couple. So let's actually go into a sales order and talk about what the shipped and processed statuses are, because they're quite important. So if I open up an order, and we'll just have a look at it here, you'll see that this order has been taken, but we have not yet processed it. So the process button is lit up. So if I click on process and I print my packing slip, I'll just preview that, or the picking slip. So there it is with all the information. I can just hand right on there what we actually are going to ship. And then the order turned into being processed. So I'll just do a couple more. I can actually do them from a list as well. So if I process a couple more orders here, and I hit the process button, it will again print all 3 packing slips. So just preview that. So there's the 3 of them. And again, it marked them as processed. So now that means to a shipper that I should be doing something with this. An open order, the salesperson hasn't completed it yet, or aren't ready to have it shipped out yet. But processed orders, those are ready to go. So a shipper would typically have a filter set, and all it is a filter that he's hit the filter button and said where the status is one of, and we've ticked off processed. So he knows that this is his list to work on. So he now has to go ahead and ship this product. So if he goes into each order, and he's got the printed piece of paper that we send to his desk as well, he can now change any of the quantities here if he needs to, if he can't find some product or has to substitute any product. And then he simply clicks the ship button. Now notice that the reprocess button is lit up. He has security to be able to print the order again after it's had the picking ticket printed. But normally you wouldn't do that because you don't want to take a chance of a pick ticket being printed more than once, and you only want to give that security to certain people. So if I hit ship now, and now it comes up with a ship pack slip. So he's now putting this in the box with the product with all the proper quantities on it. In this case, we do have it priced, but it doesn't have to be. And it disappeared off his list. So let's do the next one as well. Again, we can do this from the list here, ship the product, print the pack slips, and they disappear off the list. So after he's completed his work, let's do these last 2 as well. His list is clean, and he just simply watches for the list for more to come on for later. So the accounting department, they're watching for any orders that have a status of shipped. So they know that either this has left the building or is sitting waiting for a courier to pick it up. So they want to, of course, invoice this product as soon as possible. They don't want to have to hunt through any orders. They just want to know which ones are ready to ship. So in this case, we'll just go into the first one, and we can look it over, make sure check for any errors as we wish. I'm viewing this as a condensed version. I can click on View Expanded, gives me more room. I've got a laptop screen I'm recording this on, so I don't see a lot of body in here, so I want to see more information. But here I would normally come off here. I would throw on my ship information, who I'm shipping it by. Actually the courier would have, or the shipper would have normally put that on there. But the accounting department can check anything else here, and when they're done with it, they simply click on the invoice button, put it on their account. This message won't pop up if you don't take other payment methods besides accounts receivable. You can turn that off, but we'll just put it on account. Again, the invoice pops up. You can have several styles of invoices if you wish, and I'll just preview this. And there's our invoice. And again, you'd have that customized normally. And again, it disappears off the list. Now, if you trust your shipper completely, then you can simply highlight everything, click on the invoice button. Tells you that 6 orders are about to be invoiced. If I click OK, then it pops up my forms and which invoice I'm going to print. And then again, I can just print or preview those orders and they disappear off my list. So again, that list is clean now, waiting for more orders to be invoiced. Okay, so let's look at how we do creation of new orders. So we're going to hit new. Now we got a few choices here. I can go a new quote, new sales order, a standing order, which means it's a repeat order that has a date on it that tells it how often it needs to be repeated. You can do it weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever you need to do. A booking order. What a booking order is an order that we took from a customer, but they don't want it shipped for quite some time. We do not want to commit our inventory for the product. So if we do trade shows in the fall for shipping in the spring, then we can take an order we call booking, so we don't forget about it, and we put a due date on it so that it shows up on our list and convert it to a regular order afterwards. An RMA order is if we're doing return material authorization, and this is just a different order that has a different numbering sequence on it if you wish. You could keep the same number, but it is a order type of RMA. It doesn't treat it any differently, but just so you can separate them differently and give them a different RMA number from your regular order sequence. Same thing with work orders. It doesn't do anything different except it has a different numbering sequence if you wish. And then a rental order, which does the rentals and the repeat cycles. And we do have a separate video for our rental system as well. And that is an optional add-on to our product. So let's just do a new sales order at this point. So it comes up with a new empty order. And the first thing we want to do is we want to put a customer on it. Now, to find a customer, I can do this quite a few different ways. I can type in their name, of course. If I type ACC, you'll see that it finds 3 customers starting with ACC, but it also looked and found a customer whose name starts with ACC, not just their code. So it searches through the names and the codes at the same time. Or you can type in a phone number, 604-555, and it shows you the customer with the closest match for that phone number. Okay. Or if you don't know those, you can do a lookup. You can press the type in the word Sally, and then press F9, and then you can just type it in here as well, and then it shortens the list so that you've got just the customers with the word Sally somewhere in their database, anywhere at all, again with notes or anything else. I can even type the word watch and look up. So if I choose that off this list here, I'm just going to choose ACE. Okay, it pops up. First of all, it says here, watch credit if invoice is over 60 days. And it also may have in this case, a misspelled Purolator account number they may want to use. So I click OK. I look over here, and we see that the credit area is green. That means that either they're under their terms or under their limit. So they're good to take an order from, but we do give you more information anyway. We see that their credit limit is $50,000. They have other orders for $16,000 and an AR balance of $27,000. would do the math on that and gives us this available credit. Now, what we may want to look at, the fact that they've got other orders in the system right now. Normally what you'd have to do is close this order off and go look to see if you can find other orders. But instead, by clicking the sales order button, we show you all the open orders for this particular customer right now. So I can go check to make sure that I'm not double entering an order. So I can look through this order and see that it's not the order I'm about to take. And I can look through each one of them to check it. Now I could have just simply looked at the PO number that I'm taking, and if that PO number happens to be on there already, I can see that it was a duplicate. Because sometimes the customer will email in an order and fax it in and give it to you verbally, and you want to make sure that you're not duplicating that order. Okay, so again at the top here we show you what type of order we're working on. You can switch even after you've started it, and even after you've added lines to this order, you can switch to a quote or anything else as well. The date, the required date, this would be for, especially for booking orders, you want to put the required date of when it needs to be changed from a booking order to a regular order. The invoice number, if you've got the feature turned on where you are entering your own invoice numbers, what it does is it gives you the next available invoice number but allows you to overwrite it. That way you can overwrite the invoice number with a manual one that you are taking from, say, a manually written book or something like that. You can also choose the date that you're going to invoice this by, but this is all controlled by the setup, so that if the user is set to do invoice automatically as of today's date, then this will be grayed out. The repeat, that would be if you chose a rental or a standing order, then you choose the repeat cycle, and you would choose, say, monthly, or you can choose custom, and if it's custom, you can choose the day of the month, so they want to have it on the 1st, the 9th, the 17th, and the 25th. And then if you click OK here, then when I invoice this, it'll automatically keep the order in the system and advance the invoice date to the 9th, then the 17th, and then the 25th. So you can customize this a lot of different ways. And again, we have a video on the standing order and rental order system separately. So I'll go back to a regular order here. Here we have of course, the PO number, and this is just a reference number you can use to put whatever you want in here, whether it's a number that the customer's given you for an order type number that's different than the PO number. The salesperson is right on the front of the screen, as is the territory, so you can choose those. If the customer is set up with a salesperson, it will automatically put the salesperson code on here as it does the territory, as it did on this one here. The ship to, so this is if the customer has other locations, you can choose that off the list, and it fills it out for you, and their shipping method, and the FOB as well. We do allow you to type manually in here if you want to type something different than what's shipping, if you want to use that field for something else. The contact, this is a place where you can just type in a person's name, and you can type in their phone number as well, and you can type in a fax or a cell number and an email address. Or if you hit lookup, it will give you all the customers' different contacts from here. We only have the one, but it will show you not only the contacts from this particular customer, but all of their ship tos as well. So if they do have multiple ship tos, it'll give them all. Even if you don't pick that ship to, it does give you access to all that information. Okay, so let's see how this comes together by adding items to this. So we'll put on here a CD 800. So I can just go down and choose it off the list of my autocompletes and put on the unit price, and I can type in and overwrite the price if I wish. And I've got this laid out right now so that my part number, my order quantity, and my unit price are all together. I've just moved those to here, so that's the easiest way to do fast data entry. So if I type another CD-800 in here, I can simply type tab 5, and if I'm not changing the price, enter. Or if I am changing the price, I can go CD-800 tab 1 tab 500 enter. So very, very quick to be able to put in the items. Oops, I did CD900. So, and I've got the warning turned off. If I type in a wrong part number, that normally would be turned on, so you do get that warning. And I just hit enter. So very fast to enter in those items. So I'll just delete those. I'm going to put a CD204 on the order as well. You see that, first of all, it says that insufficient quantities and some items have been back ordered. This warning can be turned off. If you have a warehouse situation where you really don't know what your stock is and the warehouse person is responsible for all that, and you don't want this warning to pop up, you can do so. So in this item here, we've got that message we looked at earlier that said inventory CA204. Be sure to tell customer this item is discontinued. So that way you get that warning that you can give to the customer. And again, the accessory we talked about that we added to that item, it automatically got added a set of speakers along with that CD204. I'm just going to cheat and change this price here for a moment. So, and you also notice that that accessory came from a different warehouse. It doesn't have to be in the same warehouse when it does that. So let's have a look at some colors on the screen here. So we've got the red color, the red background. That means that I've sold this item at a lower price than the accepted price that we want for this group of items, or product code. So I've set probably a 30% or something on this, and then it went below that, then it turned red. We can also make it pop up a message to ask the user to change the price. So if I go in here and I change the price to 700, then it changes that to 46%, and it turns back to being without the red background color. That way, very visually, you can see if the prices are starting to creep up on you as you sell items. Okay, so the next thing we have here is this item, CA204, is back ordered. So you see here that it's got the quantity back ordered, and also the vendor is Boston Audio. Now we may want to order this special for our customer, maybe it's something we don't normally stock. And again, I can do so by clicking the requisition button. And all the items will show up on the order, all the back ordered items will. And I can choose to order them or not order them. So these two items we've got on here, and I'll take these off, but I want to order this CD204. I've chose my vendor, I can change my pricing if I wish. I hit the process. And what that did is it created a purchase order for that item that a person can go in now and just issue it. But what it also did, if I move all the way over to the right, you'll see that the target type was a purchase order, and I've moved that over. So let's move back this way. There we are. So there it is there. The PO number was put on here. So I know what purchase order this particular item got ordered on. And then if I look at the purchase order, this 30341, I will see that it also has this sales order number and the customer on that line of the purchase order. And again, the requisition system shows this in more detail. Okay, as I highlight an item, you'll see down here that the available quantity says 183. That means I've got that available to me. I have 240 of them on hand. I do have 57 committed. I've got nothing back ordered, nothing on order with my supplier. Therefore, I don't have an expected due date. So let's check a couple others here. This one has 2 on order, and I have an expected due date of 06/13. So very easily to see all that information from here. Okay, other information we show you is all the different margins. And again, only if you have the security to see costs will you see these. And you can also set the user to only see current cost or only see average. Or we have another cost called standard cost, that if you want them just to see what's called a standard cost, which means it doesn't change on a receiving basis or a selling basis, that's the cost they'll see. Okay, the tax flags, the levy, if the levy is being charged for this item. Employee, this is if you're doing labor and you want to put a person's on here, or it doesn't have to be labor, it can be line by line. It actually attaches from the employee table, from the payroll table, it'll attach the person's name on here. The price reasons, that can come from our price matrix system. And if you've got a special on an item and you put it as, say, a flyer, then you can put a price reason of flyer, and it will show you the reason it's on sale. And then it also turns the price green. So let's do that with this one. So let's say here, this item here, I'm going to give the customer a special price on it. But because he's talked us into it, because we've checked, if we hit the F7 key, we see that the customer's history comes up. And we look in here and we see that the customer purchased CD204 for several different prices. We see that indeed he did buy it cheaper. So because he asked us to check the pricing, because maybe we said that 325 is a bit high. But we'll also see that they bought a quantity of 20 that day. So if I double click on it, you see that they bought 20 of those, 10 of these, 2 of these, and 10 of those. So we did give him a break on it. But let's say he convinces us because he has been buying it quite often, and he wants us to remember that price, and in case he talks to a different salesperson, I can simply come here type $290 on that item, and then set the price by hitting the price button and say store selected price. So once I've done that, it'll ask me, do you want to put it everywhere or just to one warehouse? But I'll put it across all warehouses. And then the price turns green and it remembers that price from now on. And that gets stored into the price matrix table. Okay. So let's have another look at the F7, the sales history. We can also use this for upselling with the customer. You know, what's your stock like on EQ 1800s? We can click on the add to order button and maybe some MCB 250s and add order. Ask them how their N142s are doing. We can add that to the order. You can do multiple selects. So if you do one of these and one of these and one of these, so I can do all three of them. You click add to order. And then I simply go back to my order list. I'll just go view compact this time. And I can simply now here, just like a spreadsheet, we can go down the list. So we arrow down without having to go all the way through the line and enter all the way through it. I can simply type as I go down each one of them. Okay, again on the F7, if right here, I'm looking at everything this customer's ever bought. So if I go back here and let's just delete out a few items, let's just put a few on here. And I don't want to look at the whole list. So let's just put those three on there. When I go F7 now, I got this toggle. I can go order items only. So now I'm only seeing when they bought the CD204s, the CD800s, and the ST30s. So if I want to just check price on the items I'm selling them, I can do that from here. Okay. So back at the name of the main tab here. So let's say we want to deliver some product to somebody's house and we want to put it into different rooms. So we've got something called job headers. Now we call it job headers because it's a lot of times used in the service industry where they're repairing different parts of something, let's say a highway truck or something. You know, the front end work, the brakes work, or the engine work, but you can separate this many different ways. So under the description, I just type in here living room. And then notice it comes out in a bold format. Then here I can insert another job header and I can type in master bedroom, and then I can add in some product for the master bedroom. So they're going to put in some sound system in there. So we're going to add in some speakers, back ordered, and they're also going to put an equalizer in there. And then again I can add in another job header and put in den, and then I can put in whatever items I'm going to put in there. So that way the order gets separated nicely. When you print the invoice and or the packing slip or order confirmation, that section is nicely bolded so that's separated. And you can even have it, if you customize the form somewhat, so that subtotals the pricing between each of the sections on the invoice so the customer can see how much it costed, especially again using the service industry for subtotaling the sections like that. And talk about service, we do have a separate video on our service systems. I won't delve into that so much, but that's where the service info button is at the top for doing service on particular items. Okay, so once we've finished with the order, we see at the bottom we've got a subtotal of $889.90. We got an order of $955.30. Now, if we hit this total by order button, we'll see that the order is actually worth $1,694. That's because we are now totaling it up like everything was able to ship, but we have back orders on this. So that way a salesperson can see what the true value of their order is by just clicking on that. Okay, let's be finished off with this order. We're going to process it, and we're going to print a picking slip or packing slip. We'll just preview that. And there's all the information on it. There's subtotals that we put, or not subtotals, but the subsections that we put in here. So if we're delivering this, we know which room we need to deliver the items into. Especially if they're big items like drywall for building a house, or want to know how many pieces they're going to put into every room. Okay, once that's processed, that order is done. And then, as we did earlier, we talked about how we process and ship an invoice. Okay, so then we have the purchase order module as well. So in here we see all of our POs, and again we have this sorting capability, so we can look at the status. So we've got some standing purchase order, we've got some that are received, we've got some open POs that have not yet been issued, and we've got some issued POs and one that's held. So on the ones that are received, if we look at these ones, you can see the receive date, the value of the order, and the subtotal of the order, and the value received, and again here. So if those were different, so we can see what the remaining is. So this one here at the bottom, the order is for 28,258, and we received 27,877, which means we still got $380 to receive on it still. So really handy for being able to figure that out. Required date is another important one we want to sort by. So if we hit required date, and this order is sitting here still as issued, then we would have POs not yet received and they're past their due dates. So of course I can set a filter. So if I go add filter where the status is issued. Okay, so I'm doing my due diligence for the week and checking with my suppliers, and I can see here that I've got indeed some that are overdue. So what I can do is go into the first one, call my supplier, call all their information, and I can get a new due date from them. And if I do need to update that, I can change my required date, unissue it, and change the required date, and call my next supplier and get their information and do all that, and then get all the new updated information. That way I keep all my POs current, and I'm getting surprises about products that have not come in. All right, so let's go to one of these POs, this issued one here. And in here, you'll see that, of course, it's issued, so I can't modify it, but I can unissue it, of course. And if I do that, then I can still add to it and change it and delete it even if I want to. Let's go reissue it again, and I just won't print it. Okay, so let's take that filter off. We'll just do a new purchase order, and we're going to put in the vendor. Again, you can search for it however you need to. And it puts the vendor on. We'll do a regular PO, dates, ship vias we're going to leave. And we'll just put some parts on here. So we'll put a CD204. Again, it gives us that warning we've got set up on. It's not really relevant for this particular item because we're saying that it's been discontinued, but yet we're still ordering some. And we'll put CD800 on here as well, and maybe some FX280s. Those are serialized items. So we're going to put a quantity of 6 on here, and a quantity of 3 on this one, and a quantity of 2 on this one. Okay, so now we've got this PO started. We look at, we can see the status of them. You see that we've got a negative situation, so maybe we want to up this order because we've got available minus 65, so let's take that up to 100. And on the item here, we got, it's not enough, but we'll get a few more in. And we got enough of those, but we'll get some more of those too. Okay, so then if you want to check to see if you've purchased this product before and what price you paid, you can go to the purchase history, and it shows first of all the POs themselves and their order numbers and everything. You can go to the details section to actually see the price and how many you purchased. So there's the quantities, there's our unit price that we bought these for, and again each of the part numbers for what's on here. So CD204s, the CD800s are all listed here. So it just shows the items that we're purchasing right now, just so we can check prices. And it actually brings it up for all the vendors we buy it from. So if we want to, we can sort by the price, and that way we can check the unit price for each one of them. And if we're wondering whether we should get a few extras, we can check the sales history section, and again the item section, and see who's been buying and how often, when last date of sale was, because we got the date listed as well. So very handy inside the purchase order to be able to find all that information in here. So once we got that set, we can issue this purchase order, and we can print it. I won't print it at this point. Now I'm going to go into that PO, and now we may receive these. So what I'm going to do now is I can come to here. I can either hit receive all, so it does the whole PO, or I can come in here and type in the quantities. So if I've got 10 of these ones, and I got 2 of these, and I got, say, both of these ones, this one being a serialized item, it wants me to type in the serial number that I've received. Okay, there's my two serial numbers, and then I hit the receive button. So as soon as I click on the receive, that posts it. Do you want to create a vendor's invoice? We can say yes or no here. If I do say yes, which I may as well do, it brings up the information here. So the amount that I'm receiving gets passed through to it. The vendor freight amount, if there was any, the tax that gets charged, second tax if you had a PST as well. The vendor's invoice number on here, I put that on. The terms are calculated. The invoice date, if it's today, I can leave it. And if I choose post automatically, that just posts it without showing the journal entry, but I could uncheck it. I click OK. Shows how it's going to post, so the taxes and everything else is coming through on it, and I click OK. And then it posts it to the general ledger. And then what we do is we get a report that tells us what we received and order fulfillment report. So let's just preview those. So what I get here is, first, this is all the items that I received. It gives me a value and everything for it. So I can print that off and attach it along with the invoice if I wish, or the packing slip from the supplier. And then the order fulfillment report, this basically shows you, based on the fact that you just received some CD204s and some FX 280s, we have some orders we now have to fulfill. The 800s, I guess we don't need any, but these are people that are waiting for the items. So at this point, it says that I've got 110 of them, and I can fulfill all these orders, and again, all these ones as well. If I could do a partial fulfillment, then not all my customers will be able to receive them. It'll tell me that as well. Okay, so now that PO has been listed as received. So if I open it up now, and it shows what I've received to date, so 10 of those, 2 of those, and 2 of those. But let's say now the supplier adds to our order, and we want to add it to the same purchase order. Well, we can still at this point unissue this purchase order. If you hit the unissue, you will note though that we cannot change any of this particular line. We can change our order quantity, so we want to get more of them. That's not a problem. We can't change our to date, of course. We can't change this part number. We can click on it, but we can't change it to a different part number. We can add to this order though. If we come down to the bottom here, and we want to say add in this item here, I can come and put them on there and put my price in, because maybe he threw some items in that we didn't expect. We can do that, throw that on there. We can even come in here and change, like I said, these quantities if we wish. And then we just reissue the purchase order. And we can print it again if we wish. And then now it's shown here. If I go into it now, it does show still the items that we have received to date, and we can simply receive the rest of it. Then we can just, like I said, do the receiving. It'll do the vendor's invoice, and at the end of it, it can be closed. If the PO is fully received, so let's do that. Let's go receive the rest of the items here. So we're going to put here, we're going to go another 90. And this one here, we're going to receive 2. We've already got all those. Oh, unable to over receive. Oh, sorry, one more. So on that one here, let's go back. So you notice that when I tried to put 2 there, it would have that would have meant 4 received. It does warn me. We have this system set up that you can tell it not allowed to over receive. And then this one here, cannot change the item for ordered. Oh, that's that one there. So we're not going to change that. We'll just come here and receive this one item. So now we hit the receive button, or the invoice button in this case. Yes, I want to create the vendor's invoice. I'm going to put the vendor's invoice number in there and click OK. I'll post automatically this time. And then that completed off the order. Inside of the orders themselves, we do also have the close button. In this case, if we look at the totals here, we're not quite fully received on this item, this PO yet. I've still got one more to receive there. I under received it. It would have automatically asked us, do you want to close it if it's fully received? But if I look here, so far I've only received 21,119, and I've still got 27,430 to go. But I can hit the close button. We don't ask you if you want to close this PO unless it is fully received, but you can close this PO if you wish at any time. So are you sure you want to close it? It cannot be reversed. Yes. And that's it. It's closed. Okay, so for the other modules, like the accounting modules, accounts receivable, accounts payable, general ledger, and payroll. There are separate videos for those. You can find those on our website at BVEssentials.com and go to support and videos. And there are videos for each of the other modules I didn't talk about in this particular video. So thank you for watching.